Welcome everybody, it is time for a news episode. A couple of things coming to the game tomorrow. Some big things. We've got premium tank balance changes, which are the Avery and the Taran. And we also have new black diamond, basically a Barosk, but not a Barosk, and we'll get into that. But let's go in order here. We're going to talk about the Taran and Avery. They're both receiving nerfs. First things first, the SU-152 Taran. The camouflage while moving is getting reduced from 374 up to 381. I wish they gave you the percentages because that's more convenient for us, but oh well. But let's look at the still. 326, well 327 basically, up to 338. Let's take a look at the grill, see if they tell us here. There we go. Okay, so the grill 15 at 350 still has a worse camouflage than the Taran, and that's one of the big issues of the Taran. Isn't so much the alpha. The alpha is awful. Okay, the alpha, by that I mean not in a good way for people shooting at. 950 is way too much. The alpha does need to get nerfed, but so does this camouflage. It is way too invisible for the gun it has. Now, they did nerf the alpha from 950 down to 850, but they also buffed the reload from 18.4 down to 17.6, so it does get a better reload, better rate of fire. But the DPM does drop 200. So 200 less DPM, from 3,100 base now to 2,900. But if we take a look at the grill, let's see, it's 2,850. It still has more DPM. It has more camouflage, more penetration, more DPM. Look at our penetration on the grill 15. It is 1279, and its premium pen is 334. And if you look at the Taran, here we go. We'll open it up here. It's got 303 standard pen, 395 premium pen. It's still just a better tank. There's basically no point still to the Grill 15 other than the fact that it's not toxic and it's a balanced tank. The Grill 15 is a fantastic tank to use in the game, but there's no point to it if you have the Taran. The Taran just hits harder, and it has more camouflage, and it has more penetration, and it has more DPM still. And so I still think the Taran's going to be a problem. Keep the reload how it is, how you're nerfing it to, and put this down to 750. And I think that will be fair. And it can even keep the high HE alpha of 1100. I think that's fine. In fact, if you want to, even give it the 1200 HE, which is fine too. But look at this pen on the HE. It's also 90 millimeters, so it hits hard with the HE. But really, there's no reason to, because you're rolling sometimes for 1200. With 950 alpha damage, which is absolutely nuts. So is this change going to be enough? I don't think so. It's still going to be the best tank destroyer at tier 10 by far. And premium tank should never be the best at something. You should have to earn the best, not just buy the best. That is my opinion. But moving on now to the Avery, the Centurion Avery. There are three big problems with the Avery, and I think most players will agree. One is the armor. That shovel is dumb, and why can't I pen the lower plate? Why can't I pen the upper plate? Why is it so RNG based to kill this tank? It's ridiculous. Meanwhile, it auto damages me, and that's the second problem, is the auto damage. It always does damage to you. It doesn't even have to hit you, and it will do damage to you. And auto damage is never something I like. I don't mind small bits of auto damage, like when you've loaded up HE in your 105 and you're trying to reset the base, or you're trying to kill someone with 20 health. That's fine, because you're splashing them for 80 health. You know, you're splashing them sometimes even less than that. Or if you hit a weak part of armor, you're splashing them for 120, and it's like, aha, look at the damage I did to you. But it's nothing like this. In fact, the alpha is now, which is 1400 alpha. I did the math here, so that you guys don't have to. You can roll on splash non-penetration up to 840. You can hit something without penning it for 840 damage. And you're like, how does that math work? Well, your splash damage can splash half of what your alpha damage is. And since its alpha damage is 1400, it can splash up to 700, plus or minus 20%. 20% being 140, so add that to 700, and you're talking 840. You could splash up to 840. And then with your premium rounds, which are only 1100 alpha damage, you could splash up to 660. You're not going to, more than likely. The 550 is about the max you're going to be rolling. 700 is about the max you're going to be rolling. All the stars have to align. Basically, you have to hit 0 millimeters of armor without penetrating, and then you have to maximum roll. And how you would do that is, let's say a waffle is facing you, and you splash a wall directly behind it, and it splashes straight into the back of the turret, and then you roll plus 20%. That's the only way you're ever going to really do this. Otherwise, you're going to full pen. So that's the second issue, is the auto damage. The third issue is the penetration on it. The fact that it can slap tanks, even heavy tanks, medium tanks reliably for 1400 damage is absolutely ridiculous. So let's see what they change here. Hull armor, the armor panel, this is the shovel. From 20 millimeters to 10, the armor panel 14, the dozer blade from 30 to 15, and the blade supports from 40 to 10. That's why you keep bouncing off of these things. They're 40 millimeters. You can't go through the lower plate. Now it's going to be 10. You can actually go through those, which is nice. And finally, they're changing the gun a little bit. Shot dispersion penalty during turret rotation from 0.2 to 0.22, barely an increase. And the penetration on the standard rounds from 185 to 170, and on the premium 240 to 220. That also isn't going to do much because it's still going to be penetrating the same armor. Like, this barely does anything. What tank will this actually change if you're shooting them in the side? None. Or the rear? None. Tier 8 weak spots? None. You're still going to be decimating tier 8s. And if you don't penetrate, you're still going to be splashing really hard. What I would do to this tank is I would nerf the alpha. The standard rounds should be 1100, and the premium rounds should be 800. Then you're splashing for about 400, maybe 250 to 500 each time. And then when you load the premium rounds and you don't penetrate, you're splashing maybe about 150 to 400 each time. So it's not as drastic. It would still be obnoxious, but right now how they have it is absolutely ridiculous because this does not change. None of this changes the splash. The splash it's going to be doing to you, which is the biggest problem about the tank. So they've addressed two problems that are not the biggest, but they're not touching the part that is the biggest problem with the Avery, and that is the huge auto damage, up to 840 damage splashing. If you hit the underbelly of a tank, which is usually 20 millimeters, you can easily hit numbers close to this. All right, you'll probably be rolling for about 640 up to 700 every time if you splash the underbelly of a tank with this big 165 millimeter gun. And so that's one of the problems. The blast radius has been reduced barely. It's not much, but it's something. It doesn't do much because it doesn't change direct hits at all. And then the module damage has been decreased. Again, it's not much at all. Less fires, but not really, because it's exploding inside the tank when it hits, and it's still causing internal module damage splashing on the outside, which is also pretty bad. So I'm not sure this is going to fix the tank. It's going to be helpful because we'll actually be able to penetrate it in the upper plate, and so its survivability is going to change, but the big issue, it just damaging you all the time, is not changing. Same with the Taran, where it's just better than the Grill 15, which is very balanced. It's just better than it, and so these tanks are still going to be disgustingly good compared to all the counterparts. Avery was never really good, but it's just auto damage, and so even bad players can do it. It requires no skill. Taran is really good, and it requires no skill. So it's a double-edged sword here. The Taran, it hurts you both ways. A noob can play it really well, and a good player will just decimate you in it because it's so good. And I don't think that's going to change, really. It's just going to hit you not as hard, but it's going to hit you more often. So, but moving on now, Black Diamond, a premium tank, a new one. Watt MA, that looks ridiculous. A new premium tank is coming to the game. It is the Black Diamond, and when you see it, you're like, oh, that's a Borosk. It basically is, but it isn't. Okay, and we've got the Borosk listed up here so we can kind of compare it. This is a single shot tank, and I don't know all the statistics. That's why I've got it up here, and we'll see what it can do. Plays up to tier 10, has 1250 hit points, which is exactly the same. 310 horsepower on this thing, which is going to be exactly the same. So same horsepower, same engine, same mobility. So all this is the same, but the penetration is different. You have 215 pen and 265 pen, but only 320 alpha damage. When you look at the Borosk, you have 190 pen and 240 pen on its premium, but you have 360 alpha damage. You also, on the Borosk, have a 2-shot autoloader. The Black Diamond is a single shot, which is a little interesting because your tank, the thing about the Borosk is its ability to ambush and run. This will still be able to ambush, but instead of doing 760 alpha damage and then getting away, it's got to do 320 and then get away. And so I don't see this tank being as good, but I, of course, could be wrong. In theory, I don't think it's going to be anywhere near as good, and that's okay. The Borosk might be a little bit overtuned. But if you're looking for a Borosk equivalent, I don't think it's going to be this, but we'll find out once we get to test it. 10.7 seconds reload, 1794 DPM on a single shotgun. That's really bad. That is really bad. But everything else about this tank is exactly the same. 1794 DPM. I mean, it's more than the Brusque, but the Brusque, again, is a 2-shot autoloader doing 720 damage in 2 seconds once you're loaded. You ambush, do 720, run away, rinse and repeat. It is so good at doing damage quickly, despite what the DPM says. Yeah. But you're not going to be limited so much in the Black Diamond by your penetration. 215 on standard, so you'll be able to make money. 265 on premium. And it is premium APCR, which, just look at that. It travels faster, too. More pen, more shell velocity. Why would you not shoot it? That's the question. Anything else about this tank? Standard, silver bonus, standard, XP bonus. Nope, nothing else. And so that, guys, is what's coming tomorrow. It's a new premium tank, a reskin Brusque with a different gun, and nerfs to the Taran and Avery. We welcome nerfs. Will they be enough? I don't think so, but we'll see. Only practice will tell. But I hope you guys enjoyed this news episode. If you did, slap that like button, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you join me tomorrow, Tuesday, where I will be live streaming the changes. I will not be playing the Taran or the Avery, but we'll be seeing, you know, how many of them are actually in the game anymore, if people are still playing them, and how well they are doing, if they're still splashing real hard. Pink, I'm so sorry, your tank is getting nerfed. I'm not actually sorry. Ha ha ha. And I'll be seeing you guys all later. Take care, everyone, and peace out.